morning, students. So today we will study about subject general science. General science is a common subject for various kind of competition exams. And in general science, generally we observe that most of the teachers used to teach biology in factor of general science. While general science is a mixture of general chemistry, general physics, general botany, general geology, as well as daily life science, as well as environmental study, as well as ecosystem and inventions and their inventors, and as well as space and research organization and their functions and the centers as well. So today, first of all, in general science, our first topic and first unit is chemistry, and first topic is physical and chemical chains and chemical reactions. So this topic is very important in respect of the questions are frequently asked in various kind of competition exams, including SSC, Air Force, Navy, NDA, and such other various kind of vacancies and recruitments in which the subject general science is mentioned, and where the chemistry, and in chemistry the topic is physical and chemical chains and chemical reactions. So first of all, we should try to learn the term physical chains and chemical chains, and then after followed by the chemical reactions. So our first term is physical chains. What is physical chains and what I mean by chains in this topic? Various kinds of chains in nature and our surroundings, but today we will discuss about only physical and chemical chains in the life of chemistry and in our daily life where the chemistry takes place, right? So physical chains related to substances that will occur only physical kind of chains. These kind of chains are temporary in nature. These kind of chains are reversible in nature. While such kind of an alteration occurs, only the same size, color, and density of a substance may change. Shape, size, color, and density of the original substance may change. Remember that there will the original compound or the original quality of the substance will not remain changed. The compound and the original substance and the properties of the original substance will remain same as usual, but there will definitely occur a change. With a lot of examples we will try to understand this term, but first of all I would like to define the term in such a way that these kind of chains are always temporary, these are not permanent. These kind of chains are reversible. How these kind of chains are reversible, we will definitely try to understand with an example. While such kind of chains occur, then the shape, size, color, and density of the substance or original substance may change or may not be changed, but there does not form a new substance. There does not form a new substance. Only such kind of alteration may occur there. So how these kind of chains are temporary, how these kind of chains are reversible, we should take an example. Example is, this is ice, water, and vapor. while we heat ice, then it converts into water. When we heat water, then it converts into vapor. So this is a straight reaction. While we reverse the reaction, then when we cool vapor, cool it down, then it will convert into water. And while we cool the water down up to the level of 0 degree or more than 0 degree, then it will definitely convert into ice. So the shape changed, size changed, state of the matter changed, but the basic element, the basic component, the real form of the substance is H2O. The basic substance or the properties of water elements are H2O, and here also the compound made by hydrogen and oxygen, right? So ice is made of H2O, water is made of H2O, vapor is made of H2O. So the original compound is similar in all states. That's why we can say that there will definitely occur a change, but change is not permanent, and such kind of change in which the original properties of substance will not change, these kind of changes are called physical change. So while we heat ice, then convert into water in one side, and while we heat water, then it will convert into vapor. And while we cool the vapor down, then it will convert into water, and while we cool the water down, then it will convert into ice. So these kind of reactions, they are they function in both of directions. Then such kind of reactions are called reversible reactions, and these kind of chains are called reversible chains. So physical change is a reversible change, physical change is a temporary change. With another example, we can say that while we switch the bulb off, then there will definitely occur a change, but there is no change in the density, in the size, in the path, in the circuit of bulb and switch, but there will definitely occur a change. There had been already change, and this kind of change is called physical change, switching of bulb, switching the bulb on. And in the same way, while we crush a bottle, this kind of change also called physical change. And while we melt a ring and make a chain of the ring made of any metal like silver, gold and other, then the size and shape and thing has changed, but the property, suppose that ring is made of gold, then the basic element is Au, and the chain is definitely made of Aurum. So the property remains same. Such kind of chains are called physical chains. And the questions frequently asked in the exam for schooling as well as in competition, these are the mixture, or sometimes we may say that mixing of sand and water. Mixture of sand and water. While we pour some sand into water, then such kind of change called physical change, because of we can gain the sand again out of the water. And in the same way, while you pour some sugar into water or some salt into water, these kind of chains are also called physical chains. So this is very clear that while we can gain the root substance, the original properties of the substance, then these kind of chains are called physical chains. Now we study about chemical chains. What are chemical chains? Just opposite of physical chains. These kind of chains are permanent chains. These kind of chains are not reversible, right? So in such kind of chains, there may be change in size definitely. There may be change in color, density, everything. But remember that in such kind of chains, a new substance forms. A new substance forms. So in such kind of chains, a new substance forms, and the properties of new substance will remain differ from the original substance. With an example, we can understand such kind of chains. While milk goes sour, while milk goes sour, it means, or while we make curd out of milk, while pouring some curd is lemma, then milk changes into curd, we can never ever get milk from curd. We can make curd by milk, but we can't get milk from curd, and such kind of change is permanent. While a change is permanent, this change is called chemical change. In the same way, new substance formed from the original substance, these kind of chains are called chemical chains. The most important questions frequently asked in competition exams as well as in schooling, that rusting of iron, or sometimes you may find there rusting of iron or rusting of metals is a kind of change or is called chemical change. So this change is called chemical change because of, while once iron rusted, then we can't get the original properties of iron out of the rusted iron. So while iron come to in contact with moisture and oxygen, then it will definitely convert into a rusted iron, and a rusted iron is not rusted iron does not have the original property like an iron. So these kind of chains are called chemical chains. So difference is very clear that these kind of chains are permanent, while in physical chains are not permanent. These kind of chains are temporary, and these kind of chains are not reversible. We can't get the original substance from the newly made substance in such kind of chains. So these kind of chains are not reversible and permanent. So term is very clear that what is a chemical change and what is a physical change. While any kind of example will ask in examination, you have to answer. First of all, read it intensely, that can we get original substance or the property of original substance from the newly born substance, then definitely that kind of change will be there for physical change. And if we are unable to get original substance from the newly born substance, just like we can't get milk from curd, so such kind of chains are called chemical chains. So this is very clear. Now we will study about those questions that are asked in various kind of competition exams, mostly in Navy, Air Force, Patwari, SSC, and such other competitions. So I will take a file, a PDF file, in which few questions that are frequently asked and used to ask in various examinations again and again. Then we have to study such kind of questions in detail. So there are few questions asked in various kind of examinations. Uh, in the beginning of the chapter, we studied about physical and chemical chains, and now there are a lot of examples of various kind of chemical reactions. One of these is exothermic reaction and such like endothermic reactions, redox reaction. We will study in brief. And various kind of questions are asked in different kind of examinations. So physical and chemical chains and chemical reactions with previous year's questions are asked in various kind of examination. Don't forget this term. So in exothermic reactions, energy release definitely, and these kind of reactions are also called emission of energy or heat. So in respiration, what happens in respiration? In respiration, while we inhale, then we take air inside our lungs, then our lungs and our respiratory system just absorbs oxygen, and that will definitely come in contact with glucose, and our body just captures the glucose in form of energy, and we get energy in this process. As well as while we exhale the same one, to continue the circular of respiration, then it will definitely be there carbon dioxide and some vaporing, it means H2O. So in respiration, first of all we have to understand this term, what is respiration. And in the reaction of respiration, glucose 6,6H12O6, while it come into contact with oxygen, then definitely it converts into carbon dioxide and water, as well as we get what? Energy. Energy here will in form of what? Heat. Then it will definitely called an exothermic reaction. So the question is clear that why respiration is considered as an exothermic reaction. We will discuss it later, but first of all we have to balance our equation. While we go to balance an balance an equation, then we may only put the number of elements or the numbers just in front of the compound or the element, not in the base of the element or compound. So remember this term. Here carbon 6, here carbon only 1. So we may put here 6 to balance this one. Then there will definitely the number of carbon is 6, and here number of carbon is 6. So it's balanced. Hydrogen here 12 and hydrogen here only 2. So we may balance by putting here 6. So now hydrogen is 12 here, 6 by 2. Sorry, 6 multiplied by 2. Then this one is balanced. Oxygen is 6, oxygen there also 6, because this term is multiplied by all the elements are here in this compound. Oxygen 6, yeah, definitely oxygen here is 6 by 2 is 12. Oxygen is here 12, and here oxygen is 6, 12 and 6, 18. It means how much oxygen we need here? 6 and 6. This is 12, this is 6, now this is 18, and here also 12, and this 6 is now the oxygen is also balanced, and the whole the equation is balanced. So in such a way we can balance an equation. But in any competition exam they will not ask any kind of equation to balance an equation or balancing the number of elements or compounds in an equation. They will ask the which kind of reaction may be this, which kind of reaction is this, and why it is. So why the respiration considered as an exothermic reaction? Because energy release here in this process, that's why it's called an exothermic reaction, right? Now we will take next question. The next question is gaining and losing of oxygen is called. So this term is also just belong to what? From reactions, chemical reactions. Gaining of oxygen means just adding an oxygen or getting oxygen in any reaction. Losing of oxygen means in any reaction we definitely lose oxygen, right? So here we gaining oxygen and here we losing oxygen. While we lose oxygen, it is just opposite of while we gain oxygen. So while we gain oxygen, such kind of reactions are called oxidation. Oxidation. While we gain oxygen, this kind of reaction are called oxidation reaction. Clear? While we lose oxygen, these kind of reactions are just opposite of oxidation, and such kind of reactions are called reduction. Such kind of reactions are called reduction. So what is difference between oxidation and reduction? Gaining of oxygen is oxidation and losing of oxygen is reduction. In the same way we can say that just opposite, gaining of hydrogen is called what? Reduction, and losing of hydrogen is called oxidation. So both terms are just opposite each other. So this is very simple and this is very clear. Now come to the next term. Okay, so our next question is: a shiny brown colored element X on heating in air becomes black in color. Name the element X and the black colored compound formed. So we should remember that the element is X and the property of the element is shiny brown. While we put the same one on heating in air, it means definitely while we heat any element in air, then it will come into contact of oxygen. So X came into the contact of oxygen and we are heating it. Then the newly formed element will be black colored. So we know that black colored element while come in contact is copper oxide, CuO, and we also know that the shiny brown colored element is copper. So X is copper, and while it come into contact with oxygen and heat, then it will definitely turn into copper oxide, CuO. We should balance the equation. Oxygen here too, we can't put 2 here, we have to put 2 in front of the compound. Then copper 2, then we may also put here 2. The equation is now balanced. Come to the next question. Question number is 4. Why do we apply paint on iron articles? I have already described in the beginning of this topic that rusting of iron is a chemical change. So just preventing the iron from rusting, we paint upon the iron articles. Out of such kind of metals, a danger of losing their original property, then we apply a thin paint upon these kind of metals especially on iron, we apply paint because of just prevent it from rusting, right? So come to the next question is this fifth number question. Oil and fat containing food items are flush is with. Very important question and frequently asked in various kind of examination. Why we put oily and fatty containing food items with this and this gas? Why? And which with gas we used to do, or with which element we used to do this? Because of oily and fatty containing food items, while come in contact with oxygen, they will definitely oxidized, and oxidized food items are not good for health. Then we put such kind of food items in nitrogen, or we fill in such kind of packaging items nitrogen to prevent from oxidizing the food items, and especially the oily and fatty food items. So to prevent from getting loss of the original properties of these food items, we should put nitrogen in the packets of food packets. Question number 6 is the process in which metal reacts with substances present in the atmosphere to form surface compounds, reacts with oxygen in presence of moisture to form rust is called. Very important question. Uh, Two examples already have been said earlier. That what is rusting? Rusting is a process in which iron or such metals come in contact with oxygen and moisture, and that will change a chemical change, and such kind of change are harmful for such metals, and this process is called corrosion. The process of rusting, or the process already mentioned in this question, is called corrosion. So corrosion is more similar to rusting. The next question is question number 7 is which of the following is our exothermic process? The question number 7 is which of the following is R? There may be one option correct, there may be more than one option correct. So R exothermic process or processes. So we have already studied the term exothermic reaction. So what is exothermic reaction? In exothermic reaction, the heat or the energy emission or release. So first of all, we have to study both all of the options. The first option is reaction of water with quicklime. So water is what? H2 just have a reaction with quicklime is what? CaO. Calcium oxide is called quicklime, and while it reacts, it will definitely form calcium hydroxide. CaO is whole twice. So we have to balance the equation. Calcium is 1, calcium is 1, it's balanced. Oxygen here 1 and multiplied by 2, then oxygen here 1 and 1, 2. Hydrogen here 1 and multiplied by 2. So here hydrogen is 2. The equation is balanced, and we have to understand the term that while we put calcium oxide into water, it has a reaction with just zigzag bubbling along with a great heat. So this will definitely an example of exothermic process because it release energy or it release heat. So it is an example of the question asked. Dilution of an acid. Always remember that while an acid dilute, then it will definitely release energy, and this form is the similar of the first option. So both options are correct. Sublimation of a camphor. First of all, we have to understand this term sublimation. What is sublimation? While a solid just convert into gas without coming into the stage of what? Liquid. So while a solid here is camphor, you know camphor very well. We heat it, then it will convert into what? Into gas. It will not convert into liquid form first. So such reactions or such process are called what? Sublimation. While sublimation of camphor, while the process of sublimation takes place, then it will definitely just gains energy or just gets heat, then it will not release energy or just not release heat. Then such kind of process are just opposite the above two process. So it is just opposite means it is not an exothermic process, it is an endothermic process. So it is not an example of the question asked. Evaporation of water, it is just similar to the option number third. So both of the process are just opposite to the both of the process are mentioned in option number 1 and option number 2. So example answer is option number 1 and option number 2. So find out where 1 and 2 are mentioned here. So answer is B. B is correct here. Next one is question number 8 is here. Which of the following, maybe one or more than one options are correct here? Endothermic process, just opposite of exothermic. So find out what kind of reactions are vaporing or sublimation. These kind of reactions are. So condensation of water vapors, dilution of sulfuric acid. I have already told that while an acid dilute, then it will definitely an example of exothermic reaction. Sublimation of dry ice. Dry ice means cold solid CO2 is called dry ice, while it sublimes. Sublimation, I have already defined the term in the previous question number 7. So sublimation is an example of what the question asks, endothermic process. Evaporation of water is an example of what the question asks. So condensation of water vapors is not an example of the endothermic process. The only third and fourth option are correct. So where mentioned, these are in option D. So the answer there will be sublimation of dry ice and evaporation of water, just opposite of exothermic process. So the question number 9 is, which of the following gases can be used for storage of fresh sample of oil for a long time? So we have already studied such kind of question earlier, that we studied that for nitrogen gas, and nitrogen is what? Nitrogen is unreactive gas, right? But not inert gas. Inert gases are, they have already qualified the term that the outermost orbit is completed or fulfilled with the sufficient number of electrons. So helium, neon, argon, xenon, krypton and radon. These gases are inert gases, and these inert gases do not come in contact with any kind of element or substance, and they do not react. And nitrogen is unreactive gas, it does not react. This is the only reason, that's why there almost 78.09% of nitrogen remains in air. But the most needed element also for plants, green plants and trees, but they can't get it directly because of the nature of unreactive type of nature the nitrogen has. That's why plants can't get it in a straight form, right? So we may put helium or nitrogen for preserve these kind of food items, right? Okay. Sample oily food items. Next question is question number 10. Calcium oxide just come in contact with hydrochloric acid and it converts into calcium chloride and water. What is this? A most important question is there frequently asked this question or this kind of question in various kind of examinations, and they used to ask frequently. So calcium oxide is what? Calcium oxide is a base. Hydrochloric acid is an acid. And now you may understand this term, that while a base come in contact with an acid, these are enemies of each other and quick enemies. While a base come in contact with an acid, then they both fight very quickly and kills each other, kills the properties of each other, and they definitely convert into what? Salt and water. Salt and water. So calcium chloride is what? A salt, and H2O is what? A form of water. So while a base come in contact with an acid, then they both will lose their original properties and convert into a salt, and water. So this kind of reaction is called neutralization reaction. It means they neutralize the properties of each other, and we may also have an example, set an example that you know that sodium hydroxide is a quick base, and while we put hydrochloric acid in its contact, then what happen? Do you know that where from the frequently the water form from here? This is H2O. While we put H2O here aside, then what will remain behind? Na having positive nature, having a negative nature. So we always put the positive natured element first and followed by the negative natured element. So this will make what? NaCl is an edible salt. So this is salt and this is what? Water. While a base, it is a base, it is an acid. While a base comes in contact with an acid, then it will definitely, both of these compound will definitely lose their original properties, and by neutralizing each other they will make what? Salt and water. So this is very clear. These kind of reactions are called neutralization reaction. The equation number 11 is here. On what basis is a chemical equation balanced? Very important questions and frequently asked in various kind of examinations. Remember this one, and nobody knows the correct answer of it while you have ever never studied this term. Until and unless you haven't studied this term, you will not answer this term exactly in a guess. You can't guess this one. So if you have studied, then you can definitely give its correct example or answer. So on what basis the chemical equation balanced? While we balance an equation, what we do there, we just balance the number of elements or the number of atoms used in an element. So we balance just what? We balance their elements, we balance their substances, we balance their compounds, right? So this kind of thing is called the conservation of the total mass. Total mass of the equation, or total mass of the property or the element should not be changed, should not be lost, right? Should not be less, should not be changed, should not be lost. Clear? So this will definitely be on the base of conservation of mass, but the conservation of energy is what? This is also an important term, and these are maybe correlated. As per Albert Einstein told us that E is equal to mc square. E is what? Energy, and m is what? Mass. So we are just talking about mass, and we will now talk about energy. So that will be very correlated, but while both of the options are available there, then we have to choose the option of mass, not the option of energy. So the law of conservation of energy is what? We can't produce energy, we can't lose energy, only we can change the form of energy. This is the law of conservation of energy, and in the same form the total mass of the substance will remain same in a chemical reaction or an equation. This is called the conservation of the law of conservation of mass. And on the law of survival of fittest, it does not apply in chemistry. Chemical equation can't be balanced on any law. No, it is balanced on this law. So what is this law? Is on the law of survival of the fittest. This law is given by Darwin and we will study it in later form of our topics. We will not study it here. That who is fit in this nature, he will survive. This is a simple term. So next question is, which of the following elements do not corrode in moisture? Very important question. What is corrode? Corrode, the corrosion term made from corrode, corroded, corrosion. So corrosion, we have already studied that rusting of iron or rusted iron is the process in which it occurs. It's corrosion, called corrosion. So which elements are just unaffected by this process? And these are the valuable elements or the metals. Platinum and gold can't be affected by corrosion. So moist air can't be corrode both of the elements. Iron definitely, copper definitely, silver definitely, iron definitely, gold not, but silver definitely. So the exact answer is platinum and gold. Come to next question. Fireflies glow in night because, very important question. You have ever, never, or sometime, or hardly you have studied this question before today. Fireflies, what fireflies are? Glowworms. Their wings are usually seen in the dark night, right? So fireflies glow in night because, what is the reason there? The reason is very clear, that certain proteins are available on the wings of fireflies, and in presence of a certain enzyme, the protein just come in contact with oxygen and just emits light, right? And this process is called what? Oxidation. What this process is called? What? Oxidation, because the protein comes in contact with oxygen in presence of a certain enzyme, and due to this the consequence will what come with what, that is emission of light. And that's why jugnos, we may say that jugnos glow in night and the wings of the jugnos or fireflies glow in the night. Next question is, next question is also very important, and I think you have ever never or hardly studied before today, but this question is very important in respect of examination. Grapes hanging on the plant do not ferment. Grapes hanging on the plant do not ferment, but after being plucked from the plant can be fermented. Remember that grapes now are just hanging on the plant and these are live, but when we pluck them, then after plucking they may definitely ferment it, they can ferment. Under what conditions do these grapes ferment? What is the reason that while we pluck these grapes, after plucking the grapes they will ferment? What kind of change this will call, or maybe which answer out of these options? Physical change, maybe chemical change, maybe synthesizing, maybe, or mutation, maybe. But the exact answer is what we will tell, or we can tell it after we having a deep sense of all of the options. So first of all, we should learn the term that while grapes are hanging on the plant, these are live, right? And while these are live, it means they have their own immune system definitely, and while we will pluck, then they will lose their immune system, and after losing their immune system they will ferment while coming in contact with bacteria or microbes. Then they start to ferment them, and while it start ferment, then the reaction is called produce alcohol. And while the reaction called produce alcohol, we can't make the original grape out of the fermented grape, then such kind of change are called chemical change. This will be our exact answer, but physical change will not be there. And two more options are here. Synthesizing is a different term. While we synthesize, we will study it later. Mutation is a term we use in zoology or in environmental study. Hugo de Vries has given this term, I think approx in 1901. Mutation is what the alteration in the nucleotide form of DNA or sequence of nucleotide form of DNA is called mutation while in contact in time or period of time. And we will study this term later. So thus today's paper completes, and in the same way I used to bring various kind of questions that are frequently asked in different kind of examinations. So keep in contact, keep in touch with the frequently coming videos. Thank you for watching this video.